Iranian authorities are accusing the U.S. of seeking a regime change despite millions of Iranian citizens opposing the corruption by the Ayatollah regime for decades. One America's Kristian Rouz looks into the matter.
We just want Iran to behave like a normal nation. Just be like Norway.
The Ayatollah regime in Iran is facing mounting calls to change its behavior and rejoin the international community in good faith. On Monday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo suggested Iran could establish a partnership with the U.S. if it abandons support for terror and ceases the export of its Islamic revolution across the Middle East. And the history of Iranian protests of the past 40 years suggests such calls have been prevalent within that country, despite the Ayatollahs' claims their regime is the legitimate government of Iran.
If the agents of the U.S. and foreign countries want to take advantage of the crash of a Ukrainian plane in order to mislead public opinion and ride on this wave, our nation will not let them do it.
The Islamic Republic of Iran was established back in 1979 as a result of a coup led by Ayatollah Khomeini against the centuries-old monarchy in that country. And albeit many Iranians backed the Islamic takeover at the time, over the decades since, the Ayatollah regime has lost most of its popular support, which led to today's wave of popular protests across Iran and beyond.
The oppressed people of Iran, who have been held hostage for over 40 years by a terrorist regime that has depleted everything, human life, dignity, and resources of Iran.
Back in 1999, Iranian students protested a crackdown on independent media in the country, and the majority of young Iranians have opposed the Ayatollahs ever since. 10 years later, in 2009, the Green Movement saw millions of Iranians call for political reforms, only to be squashed by the guards of the Islamic Revolution. Another decade on, and in 2018, owners of small businesses in Tehran and other cities rallied in protest of the Ayatollah's failed economic policies, and yet another wave of government violence followed.
We are here on behalf of Iranian people in Iran to tell the world, Iranian people, they don't want Islamic Republic anymore. We are looking for regime change in Iran and replace it with secular democracy. Down with Islamic Republic and long live Iran.
These developments reflect the loss of public support by the regime, which today relies exclusively on its security forces and government bureaucrats. Meanwhile, recent anti-corruption probes found top Ayatollah regime officials are keeping enormous wealth in Western banks, while talking about standing up to the US and its allies.
It turns out that Khamenei controls a business empire worth $95 billion. Basically, this organization, Satad, has built its empire by systematically seizing thousands of properties and reselling them, so kind of a property empire that it's built. And it's thanks to the revenue generated by this organization that Khamenei has managed to hold on to power for so long.
In this light, attempts to paint the US as seeking a regime change and a hostile takeover in Iran look hardly compelling, as most Iranians have sought freedom for decades prior to current tensions. It remains to be seen if the regime, rooted in corruption and violence, withstands this latest challenge of history. Kristian Rouz, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.